Welcome to Women Tennis USA. I am Mary Carillo, and today we are taking you inside a match that said far more than the scoreboard ever could, a match that revealed momentum, preparation, belief, and the growing sense that a new force is arriving earlier than expected. What unfolded on court was not simply a win, not just another result logged into the rankings database, but a moment of awareness, the kind that makes opponents pause afterward and quietly admit they were not ready for what came at them. This was Alex Eala's day, and her opponent, seasoned, capable, and confident walking in, was not prepared for the level of clarity, courage, and control that Eala brought from the very first ball. From the opening moments, the tone felt different. The warm-up rallies carried an edge, and Eala's movements signaled intent. There was no hesitation, no wide-eyed adjustment period, none of the cautious feeling that sometimes surrounds a young player stepping into a bigger arena. Instead, there was calm. The kind of calm that comes from repetition, discipline, and trust in preparation. Her opponent settled into familiar patterns, expecting time, expecting a feeling-out phase, expecting to establish rhythm before resistance arrived. That expectation turned out to be the first miscalculation of the match. Eala's return game immediately disrupted comfort. She stood her ground, took the ball early, and refused to let points develop into safe exchanges. Each return landed with purpose, not reckless pace, but deliberate depth and angle, forcing her opponent to react instead of dictate. The message was immediate. This would not be a match where experience alone could steer the ship. This would require adaptation, and quickly. What made the early games so revealing was not just the scoreline but the way Eala constructed points. She mixed height and pace, used the full width of the court, and showed a willingness to change direction off both wings. There was intelligence in her shot selection that spoke to hours of study and an understanding that tennis at this level is as much about patterns as it is about power. Her opponent tried to settle into baseline exchanges, expecting consistency to draw errors, but Eala's margins were disciplined. She missed less than expected, and when she did miss, she did not flinch. The serve became a quiet weapon. Not overpowering, not headline-grabbing, but effective. Placement mattered more than speed. She found the corners, varied spins, and kept her opponent guessing. Each hold of serve reinforced confidence, not only for Eala but for everyone watching who understood what it takes to manage pressure early in a match. There was no rush, no unnecessary theatrics, just execution. As the first set progressed, frustration began to surface on the other side of the net. Body language shifted. Rackets were adjusted more often. Glances toward the coaching box lingered a fraction longer. This was not supposed to be happening this way. The scouting report likely spoke of promise, of potential, of a player still growing into her game. What it did not account for was readiness, the kind of readiness that shows up when preparation meets opportunity. Eala's footwork stood out. She arrived early to the ball, giving herself options rather than scrambling for survival. That early positioning allowed her to disguise intentions until the last moment, pulling her opponent wide one point and wrong-footing her the next. It is a subtle skill, often developed over years, and yet here it was, executed by a player still at the beginning of her professional journey. The rallies told their own story. Longer exchanges consistently tilted in Eala's favor, not because she was hitting harder, but because she was thinking clearer. She reset points when needed, added margin when under pressure, and recognized when to step inside the court and take control. Her opponent, sensing momentum slipping away, began to press, aiming closer to lines, shortening margins, and inviting errors that Eala was more than happy to accept. The first set slipped away faster than anticipated. When it ended, the pause between sets felt heavier than usual. This was a moment for recalibration, for experience to assert itself, for adjustments to be made. And to be fair, adjustments did come. The second set opened with more aggression from Eala's opponent, higher risk, bigger swings, and a renewed effort to seize initiative. For a brief stretch, it worked. The pace increased, and Eala was tested. What stood out during that phase was Eala's response. She absorbed pressure without retreating. She defended with purpose, turning defense into offense whenever an opening appeared. Her passing shots found lines at critical moments, not flashy, but precise. When pushed wide, she recovered quickly, refusing to leave space unguarded. This was not survival tennis. This was controlled resilience. One of the defining aspects of the match was Eala's mental steadiness. There were no visible swings in emotion, no reactions to missed chances, no lingering frustration after lost points. Each rally ended, and she moved on. For a young player, that composure speaks volumes. It suggests not only confidence in ability but trust in process, and understanding that matches unfold in waves and that patience is a weapon. As the second set wore on, it became clear that the initial pushback had not shaken Eala's belief. If anything, it sharpened her focus. She adjusted return positions, read serve patterns more effectively, and began to anticipate rather than react. The breaks of serve that followed felt inevitable, not lucky. They were earned through pressure, through consistency, through the slow accumulation of doubt on the other side of the net. There is a moment in many matches when realization sets in, when a player understands that the script they expected is no longer valid. That moment arrived quietly here. It showed in rush points, in choices that lacked conviction, in a growing sense of urgency that bordered on desperation. Eala did not exploit it ruthlessly. She did not need to. She simply stayed the course, knowing that maintaining her level would be enough. The closing games of the match highlighted another dimension of Eala's game, her ability to finish. Young players are often labeled as talented but inconsistent closers, capable of building leads but struggling to convert them. This narrative did not apply. When the opportunity to serve out the match arrived, Eala approached it with the same clarity she had shown from the first game. She trusted her serve, played percentage tennis, and refused to give free points. Each point in that final game felt deliberate. There was no sense of rushing toward the finish line. Instead, there was a quiet determination to complete the task properly. When the final point ended, the reaction was measured. A small smile, a composed handshake, and an acknowledgement that the job was done. No excess, no disbelief, just confirmation. In the aftermath, attention naturally turned to what this result meant. For Eala, it was another step forward, another data point in a career that has been building steadily rather than explosively. For her opponent, it was a reminder that the landscape of women's tennis continues to evolve rapidly. Preparation cannot rely solely on reputation or past results. Every match demands respect, especially when facing players who bring both talent and tactical awareness. From a broader perspective, this performance fits into a larger conversation about the next generation in women's tennis. Players like Eala are arriving with polished games, international experience, and an understanding of professionalism that used to take years to develop. They are comfortable on big stages, unafraid of established names, and increasingly capable of executing complex game plans under pressure. What impressed me most, watching this unfold, was not any single shot or highlight moment, but the completeness of Eala's approach. She played with balance. She defended when necessary, attacked when appropriate, and never lost sight of the bigger picture. That balance is what makes opponents uncomfortable, because it leaves them searching for weaknesses that are not easily found. The opponent, to her credit, fought until the end. There were moments of brilliance, flashes of the experience that had brought her success in the past. But tennis is unforgiving when momentum shifts, and on this day, the shift favored the player who combined preparation with belief. As this result circulates, it will undoubtedly influence future matchups. Opponents will study footage more closely. They will adjust expectations. They will arrive knowing that Alex Eala is not a player to ease into a match against. She demands immediate attention, immediate respect, and immediate adaptation. For fans, this match offered a glimpse of what lies ahead. It reminded us why the sport remains compelling, why new stories continue to emerge, and why the next chapter is always just one match away. Watching a young player step into her potential in real time is one of tennis's great pleasures, and this was one of those moments. The conversation around readiness often focuses on physical strength or ranking milestones, but readiness is deeper than that. It is about decision-making under pressure. It is about understanding one's own game well enough to trust it when tested. It is about embracing the moment rather than shrinking from it. On this day, Alex Eala demonstrated all of those qualities. As the tour moves on and the calendar fills with new challenges, this performance will serve as a reference point, not only for Eala herself but for those preparing to face her. The element of surprise may fade, but the substance will remain. And if this match is any indication, opponents who underestimate that substance will continue to find themselves unprepared. This is how careers quietly turn corners. Not always with trophies or headlines, but with performances that change perceptions inside locker rooms and coaching meetings. Performances that make people say, "She's ready now." Not soon. Now. Here at Women Tennis USA, we will continue to follow these moments closely because they define the future of the game. Alex Eala's opponent was not ready for this level, this composure, this completeness. And after seeing what unfolded on court, it is clear that many others will need to raise their readiness as well.